Hello everyone. In this video, I'm going to show you how to set up a simple stock portfolio in Morningstar Direct and how to generate a performance report in Excel using that portfolio. So I'm here in the new Morningstar Direct experience on their website. If you, when you get to this home screen, go ahead and select the right pointing arrow on the left-hand side of the screen here and go down to portfolios. And we're going to create a new portfolio here. So what I want to do is, this is the default page that you get if you have not created any portfolios yet. I'm going to go up here and press create new, and you have two options. You have a holdings portfolio or you have a returns portfolio. If you're setting up kind of a paper portfolio, or maybe even one that you are invested in shares of stock, and that's what we're going to start with here, you want to select the holdings portfolio. And it's going to pull up a screen like this. You'll see here the yesterday's date. So I'm recording this on December 9th, 2025. And so this has the entry date of December 8th, 2025, and it's going to assume that I purchased whatever I put in here on that date. You can change these dates. You can add date here to select a different date. You can delete this date if you need to. That option here, or changing that date, is an option as well. I'm going to leave it the way it is because I just wanted to start with kind of a simple example. I'm going to start up here where it says Untitled Portfolio. I want to name my portfolio. This is my first portfolio. And in the gear next to it, it gives me some options. And I do want to change one of these options. And I'll show you which one it is here in a second. We have the ability to set a benchmark or multiple benchmarks for our portfolio to see how we're doing. Our performance is relative to that benchmark. The default in Morningstar Direct is the S&P 500 total return US dollar portfolio. So this is going to incorporate both dividend and price change returns. You can add additional benchmarks. You can put in secondary benchmarks if you would like to. The next option is a portfolio ID. I'm not going to mess with that one right now. You can set this the same as the portfolio name if you want to. If you're importing spreadsheets, which is I'm not going to do in this example, you can put that ID in those spreadsheets as well. The currency we're going to use is the US dollar, but you can certainly change that. The risk-free proxy is the average yield on the 3-month US Treasury bill. And again, you can change that if you would like a different option there as well. The one I want to change is my rebalancing frequency. So I'm not going to rebalance this portfolio automatically. I'm actually going to have a buy and hold portfolio. You can set this to be rebalanced monthly, quarterly, semi-annually, annually, or daily. But I don't want to do that. I'm not going to be out there every, once a month trading stocks in and out of this portfolio. I'm just buying some stocks. I'm going to hold on to them until I decide to go out and change my holdings. And I have the ability to do that in this portfolio setup. That's the one thing I want to change, is that rebalancing frequency to buy and hold. The performance source is calculated based on the underlying positions. You do have the option of basing it on imported portfolio level performance, but in this case, we're not importing a portfolio, so we won't be doing that. If you were going to charge a management fee or assume a management fee, you could do that down here. I'm the one managing the portfolio. I'm not going to charge myself a management fee, so I'm not going to put a number in that management fee area. Once I've got all that in, I'm going to press save. Now I'm going to add in some stocks. Okay. So this is my first portfolio. I want to get, some wide-ranging stocks. So I'm going to start a little bit with Walmart here. You can see that there are many options. If I press all results here, There are 1,252,945 options. Fortunately for us, the one we want is this top one here. Now you want to make sure that you're adding the right one, and I'll show you an example of where the top one is not the one that we want. But I want to add Walmart. It's a U.S. stock, trade on the New York Stock Exchange. That's the right one. I'm going to press done down here. Want to add, and now let me show you one where we wouldn't want to choose the top one. Let's put some Lowe's stock in here. So the top one here is not the one I want. This one appears to be a German stock. That's not what I want. I want the one traded on the New York Stock Exchange. The second one down here, so I'm going to press that one. And then let's add some Microsoft. So I'm going to put MSFT in again. I'm making sure I don't want the Toronto one. There's nothing wrong with Canada, but I'm in the US, so I want to invest in the one traded on the NASDAQ. So I've got 3 stocks here in my portfolio, not a well-diversified portfolio, but something to get started with. So you can see here in this column that has weight percentage, I can assign weights to each one of these, but that's not what I'm going to do in this case. In this case, I'm just going to say how many shares of stock that I purchase. So I'm going to select the down caret here and change it from weight percentage to shares. And it's telling me the price for this date. And this is the adjusted price. So if you put it in NVIDIA, for example, and you go back 10 years, it's not going to show you the actual price for that date. It's going to show you the price based on the 10-for-1 stock split that happened in 2024, okay? And any other adjustments to that. So let's say yesterday I purchased 50 shares of Walmart stock. I purchased 30 shares of Lowe's. And I purchased 20 shares of Microsoft stock. Once I've got those in here, I can then see how my portfolio is weighted. So kind of a little bit heavier in Microsoft, but yep, it's spread out amongst the different investments. You can select sync dashboards. I'm not going to dive into that one, into this too much in this video. It just shows you some information about the portfolios. So it shows you the just a few statistics here and there. That's not what I'm terribly interested in right now. I'm going to press Save Portfolio down here. And it saved it successfully. Now I'm actually going to close out of the portfolio, and I'm going to open it back up so I can show you the performance of how this portfolio would have done historically. So I'm going to press the X up here in the upper right-hand corner. I'm going to select First Portfolio for my screen. And it shows me here what my portfolio performance was. Again, I've got my benchmark up here of the S&P 500. It's got the weights of the different stocks in my portfolio and how this portfolio would have performed historically. So it's got the 3-year return, the 5-year return, the 10-year return, the year-to-date return, and the total return since the inception. So it would have been the earliest date for that these 3 stocks were traded. What I want to add, because there's some information I like to see that isn't in here, so I'm going to select Create Dataset. And I want to add a couple of points, data points. I like to include the Sharpe ratio And you have many options here. I'll select all results just to show you what this looks like. You've got the 3-year calculated based on month-end performance, the 5-year based on month-end performance, the 3 and the 5-year based on quarter-end performance, the 1, 10, 3, and 5, and 15 years based on both quarter and month performance. So there's a lot of different options. There's the 3-year market return, Sharpe ratio, month-end performance, and so on. And if you want to see how they're calculated, you can just select the title there, and it talks about how it's calculated. So a lot of good information there. I'm just going to go ahead and add this one. So this calculates the Sharpe ratio for the past 3 years based on month-end performance. And then I also want to see the alpha from my portfolio. And again, I can choose 3, 5, 10, 15-year performance. I'm just going to go with the 3-year performance here and add that as well. Press done. Now you can see that it got rid of my annual returns. I'll go ahead and add those back in because a lot of people like to see those as well, to see how it's performing relative to the benchmark. And in this case, because of how the alpha is calculated, the alpha for the market, if you will, the S&P 500, is just 0. So this portfolio that we've created has a positive alpha. However, the Sharpe ratio is lower than that of the benchmark there. So something to keep in mind. I'm going to name my data set here first portfolio performance. And I want to add some data points. Again, I showed you the Sharpe ratio. I'll add that. I showed you the alpha. We'll add that. Let's go ahead and add some other returns. So I'm going to say total return. So here we have the total return annualized for 3 years. I'll put the 1 year, and let's go with a 5-year as well. So the total return annualized for 5 years. And then we can also change the order. Select done, and then it adds all of those in as well. Once we've done with that, once we're happy with the order of our rows, the information we have in there, we can export this. So I'm going to select export data set. And it gives me that data set, what we just calculated. So we see here for our portfolio that we created, our 1 year return is was 16.17% relative to the S&P 500 at 15%. The 3-year annualized return was 24.81% compared to the S&P 500 at 20.57%. The total return annualized over 5 years was 18.81% compared to 15.28%. So in terms of return, we're outperforming the market or our benchmark there. In terms of risk-adjusted return, the Sharpe ratio for the 3-year period, we're actually underperforming a little bit, but the alpha is positive here at 4.25. So that's where I'm going to end this video. Please let me know if you have any questions or any suggestions on things you would like to see in a future video. Thank you.